My name is Naveen. Today we are going to see uh, what are the important fields that is there in MT700, and if you want to be a trade finance professional, either into banking field or you want to have your own business, uh, and if you want to do a safe kind of trading activities or trade finance activity, जैसे आप अगर नई तरीके से आप अपना बिजनेस खोलना चाहते हो, आप आपके पास अच्छा फैसिलिटी है, बैंकिंग फैसिलिटी है, और आप अगर लेटर ऑफ क्रेडिट से डील करके आप इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड या डोमेस्टिक ट्रेड करना चाहते हो, तो आपके लिए ये वीडियो काफ़ी लाभदायक होगा। मैं चाहूँगा कि मतलब जितना छोटा हो सके उतना छोटा वीडियो आपके लिए प्रेजेंट करूँ और इससे आपको मैक्सिमम नॉलेज दे सकूँ। So let's today we will be talking about how the LC is being issued and what are the important fields, whether you are an applicant or a beneficiary. When I say applicant or beneficiary, it means whether you are a buyer or a seller. Knowing some of the basic important fields about MT700 will give you a good knowledge, and you will be able to issue LCs in a better way. So let's talk about this mandatory fields about MT700, which is nothing but issuance of a letter of credit. So field 27 depicts how much will be the number of pages in the LC. So this represents the sequence of total. Now LC can be issued with 3 pages, 2 pages, or even a single page. But if you want to cover all the requirements in the LC, at least it should run up to 3 pages as a common practice. Okay, so that you can cover all all the fields and your requirements very clearly as a buyer. Um, and this LC is actually being issued by LC issuing bank, where you have the facility as a buyer, and you are actually issuing this LC to a supplier in the same country or in a different country. Okay, so for field 40 represents form of a documentary credit. So whether it is irrevocable or revocable. Revocable means without the consent of the beneficiary, the LC can be cancelled. So normally the issuing bank doesn't issue any letter of credit with wordings like revocable. So mostly irrevocable LCs are issued. So this represents a form of a letter of credit which normally would be irrevocable. And then you have field 20, which is documentary credit number. This is very important, and a very unique reference number will be given when you issue a LC. Then you have field 40, which is applicable rules. So either it will be mostly it will be UCP 600 or the UCP whatever latest version that is applicable as per the Uniform Customs and Practices for documentary credits. So this will represent the rules which is to be followed for this issuance of this letter of credit. Then you have 31D, which represents date and place of expiry. So LC will be available whether at the applicant's country or whether at the beneficiary's country. So normally LC will expire at the buyer's country, right? So because when the documents are received under the LC, and it has to expire in a uh, applicant's country unless the LC is confirmed. Maybe it depends on terms and conditions and as per the agreement between applicant and the beneficiary. But normally this LC expiry date. See, normally what happens, LC expiry date has to cover the full life cycle. And it will be totally dependent upon when the shipment is going to happen. And so accordingly, you need to fix the LC expiry date. Uh, you cannot you cannot give shorter period of time, and so that there should be some gap between the shipment date and the place of expiry or the date of expiry, right? So there should be some gap, and that will totally depend upon when the shipment, when the documents are sent and when the shipment is happening. So accordingly you will fix this date of expiry. Applicant is nothing but the buyer name and full address need to be mentioned in the field 50. Field 59 represents beneficiary. Beneficiary is basically the supplier. So the supplier's full name and address need to be mentioned, so that see in this MT700, mostly all the detailed information need to be mentioned, so that there is no ambiguity in the LC, and all the factual information need to be mentioned. So this name and address of both the parties is very important. Field 50 and field 59. Then you have 32B, which represents currency code and the amount of the LC. Okay, here the currency code will be if you are dealing in dollars or dirhams or in INR or any other currency. If it's a European country, it will be in maybe in Swiss francs, or maybe in dollars, or in GBP, Great British Pounds. So this will be totally depend upon the country, and where the beneficiary is located and where the applicant is located, and how they want the LC to be issued. So mostly everyone prefers dollar currency, but nevertheless we can also see some INR also, if it's a domestic trade within India, or even INR LCs are also issued, and mostly GBP. Then you have USD or Euro currencies. Okay, this next field represents field 41A. LC is available with which bank, and whether it is available by negotiation or by acceptance. So that has, or by deferred payment. This need to be clearly mentioned so that there is no ambiguity. uh, Now I can show you, I can give you what is negotiation, what is deferred payment. That maybe we will cover it afterwards in a separate video. Today we are not going to cover that, but LC is available with which bank, that is very important. So either it can be a negotiating bank, or it can be issuing bank, or it can be a confirming bank if the LC is to be confirmed. Now, confirmation instruction field 49, which represents whether beneficiary's bank or the bank which is located in the beneficiary's country, whether they are going to confirm this LC or not. That will be stated here. So mostly if it is just the LC need to be advised to the beneficiary, and then the beneficiary will ship the goods based on the LC terms and conditions. So here normally they will state without, or they will state may add. May add means the beneficiary's bank may or may not add the confirmation. It will be dependent purely on the beneficiary's bank, or by the or advising bank, whether they want to confirm the LC. And beneficiary should request for the confirmation. So if beneficiary is going to request for the confirmation, then beneficiary need to have a good facility with the bank so that they can confirm the LC, right? So confirmation of or maybe, like, here you also need to understand that uh, confirmation will be dependent on beneficiary's credit standing, like how big the company is, how reputed the company is, and what is the goodwill. So for every beneficiary, the beneficiary's bank may not confirm. So they have to have a good track record of trade, and they have to they historically they should be doing more trade with, and they should have long account relationship with the bank, right? And then you have field 39A, like today, let's say 100,000 is the value. Now if you want to give any tolerance for the amount, like 10%, more or less, it can be the amount can be drawn. So in those terms, you may represent 5% or 10% of tolerance for the credit amount, in addition to the LC amount. Then you have field 42C, which represents how the drafts need to be drawn, whether on site or whether on acceptance. So deferred payment will not have any draft. There's no requirement for a draft under deferred payment. So 42C represents draft, whether draft is at site or by acceptance. Field 42A is nothing but the drafts are drawn on which bank. Basically, normally here it will be issuing bank if it is a without confirmation, and if it is to be confirmed by the confirming bank, then normally the drawee would be confirming bank. Now mixed payment terms will be like how the LC need to be paid. Maybe certain percentage will be on site basis, and a certain percentage will be after 30 days or after 60 days. So if there is any kind of part payment, some will be immediate and some will be on a deferred basis. So that can be we can you can put this here. And what is the deferred payment details? 42P will represent deferred payment details when it is good to be paid after 90 days or 30 days. So normally banks may use any of the one, it will be totally dependent upon the agreement between beneficiary and applicant and how the LC is structured. So it will be purely dependent on that. This is like, it's about pre-advice. Like if the applicant wants to pre-advise the LCs, so during that instance this will be used. Otherwise this may not be used in a normal MT700 issuance. Then what is the date of issue? Date of issue of the LC, when the LC is issued. And applicant bank, normally it will be an issuing bank. Like sometimes what happens, the applicant bank or the issuing bank can be different, because the applicant bank may not have a good swift arrangement with the with the bank in the same country. So with the beneficiaries banks, normally, so they might have a different bank also. And then you have additional amounts covered. If there is any additional amount that is to be paid, or that will be represented in field 39C. Then you have partial payments, whether partial payment is allowed in the LC or not allowed. By default, it is allowed. If you don't state anything, the partial payment is allowed under the LC. Like let's say 100,000 is the value of the LC. Uh, Document can be presented for 60,000 and then again for 40,000 in two different tranches. It can be uh, presented, and the shipment will be based on that. You know. Then transshipment is nothing but loading and unloading of goods from one country. Like let's say something is going to Jordan, and from Mumbai the shipment is all traveling to Dubai, and from Dubai it will go to Jordan. So loading and unloading at Dubai airport, or sorry, at Dubai port, uh, loading of goods from one vessel to another vessel will be your transshipment, right? So that is being stated whether transshipment is allowed or not in 43T. 44A will represent uh, the how the goods will be picked, at which location it will be picked. So that will be stated here. Port of loading will be basically the beneficiary's country or the seller's country from where the goods will be loaded and where the goods will be discharged. That will be stated in 44F. 44B will be like final destination. Sometimes what happens, if it is a landlocked country, goods will be shipped to the nearest port, and from that nearest port, the final destination will be stated. For example, goods has to go to Delhi, and the port will be, there is no port in Delhi, right? So in Mumbai, the goods will be shipped to Mumbai port, Nava Sheva port, and from there it will be loaded in trucks, and it will go to the final destination or place of delivery in Delhi. So that will be stated in 44B, the place of final destination or a place of delivery. Then you have latest date of shipment, when the goods need, within which date, on or before this date, the goods need to be shipped. That will be stated in the 44C. 44D will represent shipment period. If there is any range that is being given, like the goods need to be shipped from this date until this date, so within that time frame the goods need to be shipped. That will be stated in field 44D. Field 45A will represent description of goods or services. So description of goods, sometimes it is recommended that you have a very brief description of goods. No need to state the full detailed description of goods, because it may run up to many pages, and moreover there will be more chances of document being discrepant if you state each and every line items and details about the goods. So just have a brief description about goods, like what is being shipped. And if it's a textile product, you can just mention a small description about the textiles and the color and the size and the brand, whatever you want to mention, that you can mention it here. But it is recommended to have a very brief description, so that the document will not be discrepant, because if there is any spelling mistakes, or if the color or something is being depicted in a wrong way in the document, then there are more chances of document getting discrepant, and the applicant may not pay to the beneficiary. So brief description about goods and services need to be mentioned in field 45A. 46A will be documents required. What are the documents that is required to clear the goods from the shipment? So when I say shipment, shipment can be air shipment or domestic truck shipment, or it can be a rail shipment, or it can be a uh, shipment ocean voyage, right? Then so those documents will be mentioned clearly, what are the documentary proof that is required for this delivery of goods, and that is to be presented to the banks. The bank, though, see, there are two channels. The goods will ship through ships, right? And the documents will flow through the banking channels or through the FIs, right? So that you have to understand, because maybe in some other video I will cover you with workflow also, that you can refer. Additional conditions, if there are any additional condition that need to be satisfied between the applicant and the beneficiary, and during the voyage of the shipment, so that you can cover it here. But any condition which is not with the documentary proof, the bank will disregard those conditions. So it is better to have documentary proof. Like, let's say you want the goods to be inspected, so that is your condition. So if you don't call an inspection certificate, then how the buyer will know that the goods have been inspected? So inspection certificate, a third party inspection certificate is required, right? So that will cover under additional condition, but you will have to have a documentary proof for that. So any condition which is non documentary, that will not be entertained by the banks, and that will be disregarded totally, and bank will not be responsible for that. Then you have special payment conditions for beneficiary, special payment conditions for receive bank. So these are some of the new fields that is being introduced, and I don't think that this is being widely used, but these are the fields which can be used actually. So charges, who will pay the charges and at what stage? So there are two things which happens in the trade. One is sharing of risk, and then the sharing of cost, right? So applicant and beneficiary, they will have to decide who will bear, because each stage or each event has some occurrence of cost, and how the risk need to be divided. Sometimes, like, applicant will say that, boss, once the goods are received at my port of discharge, I will take care the responsibility of delivering goods to my place, right? So those risk and cost, those are covered under Incoterms, which is international commercial terms. So there are some commercial terms that you can state in the LC just to protect your rights, and the charges will be applicable based on those international commercial terms that you can mention it. But here, the 71D will represent only about charges. Who will pay, whether it has to be shared by applicant and beneficiary, or whether applicant will bear the charges or beneficiary will bear the charges. Field 48 will represent period for presentation. Now, after the shipment, like how many days, within how many days the presentation need to happen to the beneficiary's bank or to the issuing bank, right? 58A requested confirmation party. This anyway, if the confirmation is requested, you can mention it here. Reimbursing bank will be like a third bank, basically. So, like, let's say, if the value of the LC, if the currency of the LC is in dollars, so the routing of funds will be through a US bank, right? So here, what you have to see is, if you want to nominate Citibank USA, like, if the issuing bank is having an nostro account with Citibank US, then they can nominate a reimbursing bank, and funds will be paid through that bank, right? So that you can nominate in field 53A, whether it's Bank of New York or Citibank US, anything can be stated here depending upon where the account is there, relationship is maintained. 78, instruction to paying, accepting, negotiating bank. Field 78A will represent how the payment will happen, whether the issuing bank will remit the funds, whether the issuing bank is giving a debit authority uh, for this for the goods, or how the instruction is being given. Field 58, advice through bank. Advice through bank is nothing but sometimes the beneficiary bank may be located in a different location where the bank, where the beneficiary bank will be in some other state or location. So just to cover that intermediary effect, they may nominate another bank through which the LC need to be routed. Basically, they will have a correspondent relationship with those banks. Then you have sender to receive your information. If you want to provide any additional information, that you can mention it here, basically. So this is regarding MT700 issuance. Now, when the applicant want to structure the LC, they will have to cover all these points, basically. Okay, so one is, applicant will have a facility with the bank, and should have a LC facility. Then each bank will have, or if FI will have the application form for a letter of credit, so that need to be filled. So so applicant need to fill all these details, and so that LC is issued correctly, and there are less chances of any ambiguity or any discrepancy. Okay, thank you so much for this session. If you like this session, please support me so that I can bring you more sessions like this. Thank you so much.